I'm Jim Monaghan from Red Sox Life, and welcome to Red Sox Life's first Zoom Roundtable. We have Jared, Ahaan, and Eric with us, and we'll talk a little bit about what's gone on in the first half of the Red Sox season and where we think things might go in the second half. Eric, I'm going to start with you. Eric, by the way, is in the Netherlands. I'm here in New Jersey, and Ahaan and Jared are both in Massachusetts. Eric, at 19 games over 500, they have the third best record in the American League. How surprised are you by what the Red Sox have done so far this year?
I think we've all hoped that something like this would happen after last year, but I'm relatively surprised. I think our best luck has been that nobody's really been on the injured list as far as the pitching staff so far. That's been pretty steady all the way through the first half of the year. And that's given us the ability to win games just by being able to put a little bit of offense on the board. And the offense has been just clicking. So I'm pretty shocked. Yeah.
Jared, how about you?
I'm really shocked as well. The very first article I ever wrote and sent to you was about how Red Sox fans should temper their expectations for this season because it's probably not going to be that great. And I listed all these reasons why, but they've kind of gone contradictory to all of my expectations. The offense has been great. The bullpen has been a lot stronger than I expected. And the starting pitching, I think, has been just good enough with a few really good starts sprinkled in there. So, and I think the Alex Cora factor more than anything is what's contributing to the success of this team.
And Ahaan, we'll go to you. What are your thoughts so far?
I mean, I was expecting the Red Sox to be a lot better with Cora, with all the moves, little moves that Chaim Bloom made in the offseason. What I am surprised about is the fact that we're in first place. The Yankees being absolutely atrocious, and it's been long enough in the season that I can just say they're bad. They're not winning anything this year. The fact that the Rays have been very competitive and they're very, very good, and we're still in first place, that's been surprising to me. The American League in general, I thought it was going to be shallow, but it's been extremely interesting, and the fact that the Red Sox are right in that mix for being a contender already. It's been fun to watch. It's been 2013 vibes, so to speak.
Yeah, I was going to say 2018, but yes, I would agree with you. It has that feel of something very special that's going on here. And of course, you mentioned the Yankees. I'm here in Yankee country, and anytime these two teams play each other, the magnitude of it just gets overwhelmed. People lose their minds here. So you can imagine the reaction of losing the first 7 games to the Red Sox, Yankee fans ready to jump off the McCombs Dam Bridge. And then they win 2 in a row. And then, of course, they won last night against the Phillies. While Yankee fans are flying high now. It's all about the second coming of the baby bombers, if you will. Many of whom Yankee fans didn't even know who these kids were a week and a half ago. So I think they may need to temper their enthusiasm a little bit. And you're starting to hear rumors that Aaron Judge may actually be on the trade block. I think everybody on the major league staff, he might be the only one that they could spin and get something decent in return that might help them. Jared, your thoughts on that, on the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely underperformed relative to my expectations for them. I think on paper, they had a great lineup going into the season, but a lot of their guys are just these big right-handed power bats that are prone to strikeouts. And you have too many of those guys, it contributes to a lot of easy outs and a lot of losses. So I don't think they're actually going to trade Aaron Judge, but I do agree with the idea that he's one of the few people they could actually trade and get something for, because someone like Giancarlo Stanton's contract is just way too huge. Same with Garrett Cole if they wanted to trade someone on the pitching side. But I don't see them making any major moves, either buying or selling. I think they're going to stand relatively pat with what they have.
You pretty much answered the question, because you say the Yankees stink. They're not going anywhere. Eric, how about you? Your thoughts?
I think the Yankees are showing us something. I'm big about pitching. That's my favorite thing. That's what I did when I played. I'm watching what's happening, because first they changed the ball, right? They call it a mush ball, whatever the deal is, trying to get that offense a little bit tempered, right? It turns out it flies 15, 20 feet less, whatever the deal is. It also means that the pitchers figured out, hey, I can do more things with it. So we started seeing no hitters coming from almost only the wily veterans, right? People that can work the ball, work the count, work the pitching. And then they took the sticky stuff off the table. And that means you really got to pitch now, right? You got to learn how to get control of the ball and throw pitches like you're supposed to, like everybody else in the world has to. And that means that all these high fastballs and up in the zone stuff isn't happening anymore, or at least a whole lot less. And the people that are succeeding are being able to keep the ball down, to make it drop down, to locate down. So all these guys that have lined up everything with launch angles and big power are really being exposed. And I mean, Stanton and Judge, they just look lost at the plate, right? I mean, even Alex Rodriguez this weekend was saying on the TV he doesn't even look ready to hit when he's standing there. I'm like, it's shocking to watch, but that's where I think a lot of that's coming from. So it's not all on what they've done there at the Yankees or haven't done. It's just where they're at right now. They will be back. They will have to change shit. This is just happening mid-season, and everybody's scrambling from pitches to hitters to everything to adjust. I think the Red Sox, by the way, have adjusted probably the best this year because Cora said when he came in, we're going to do situational hitting. That fits this like a T. It's perfect.
Let's stay with the pitching for a second. Craig Kimbrell, yes or no? Ahaan, you're up first. Did the Red Sox go reacquire him?
I have to preface this by saying I own a Kimbrel jersey. He's one of my favorite pitchers in my shorter than y'all's lifetime, but it's going to cost a lot. Probably a no. There are cheaper options. We have a closer, Matt Barnes, one of the best relievers in baseball, if not the best in the American League. We have somebody who knows the closer role. So what you need is, without giving up too much, get a couple of transition bullpen guys. So I'm going to go cost is too high, so no.
Eric, Kimbrel, yes or no?
Not just a no, a hell no. I think it's wonderful that he's like reemerged a little bit, but it's too flash in the pan for me to go invest in that at all. I like Matt Barnes; he's doing just fine. We have Adam behind him. If he gets injured or anything, I mean, there's no big mad scramble. There's enough guys that can get it out in the ninth inning. And I think Cora is one of the better guys at putting this stuff together and deciding who's going to pitch against who. So I have a lot of faith in the pitching staff and the pitching coaching and the support he has around them to get it done.
Jared, are you going to be the contrarian here, or are you with us? No on Kimbrel.
I'll be the guy who says I don't want to overpay for Kimbrel, but I would be interested in him if the price was right, because I think Barnes is clearly the closer at this point. Ottavino's kind of established himself as the main setup guy, but I think they could use one more setup guy for the 7th, 8th inning in the event that Ottavino needs a rest or something like that. So for the right price, I would be interested in Kimbrel, but I wouldn't want to overpay for him.
Chris Sale, I think we're about 2 weeks away from seeing him. He's looked good so far in a couple of rehab outings. And if I'm not mistaken, he's pitching tonight again up in Portland for AA Portland. How much of an impact, Jared, do you think Chris Sale is going to have the remainder of the season?
Well, it could be potentially a huge impact by the time we actually get to postseason baseball. In the meantime, I'm not sure how much they're going to use him, and I think they might either use him as sort of a middle reliever, maybe work about 3 innings here and there as he ramps his way up. I don't think he's going to come out and be throwing 6-inning starts right away just because of the possibility of re-injury. But by the time we get to September, October, I think we could see Chris Sale, the full-time starter, back again. And I think that could be potentially huge as we go into the playoffs.
Now, Han, how big of a factor do you think Sale will be?
I think people somewhat tend to forget because recency bias dominates sports. When Chris Sale is healthy, he's a top 5 starting pitcher in baseball. If he's pitching the way he was, which rumor is that he's going to make us a contender. But I think people also should realize that when he comes back, like Jared said, he might not be exactly the guy he was when he comes in, partly because of load management, but partially he's an emotional guy. He wants to pump 100 every pitch from start to finish. He's going to need some time to settle in just emotionally. Coming back to Fenway for the first time in a couple of years, it's going to be a lot to take in. So if he gives up a few runs in the first inning, like, calm down. It's not a big deal. By the time it's October, he's going to be a top 5 pitcher in baseball again.
There was an article on the Red Sox website either earlier today or yesterday where he was saying that his wife hears him yelling from the other room. Honey, it's just a baseball game. Eric, you work with a lot of young pitchers. What are your thoughts on Chris Sale for the down the stretch for the Red Sox?
I think he's going to need 6 pitches in Fenway Park to be ready to go. And that's what his warm-up's going to be, right? I think he's going to come out throwing strikes like he always does. What I'm excited to see is him next to Tanner Houck in the same rotation. So there's the future right there, right? And he's already in the pen. I forgot to mention him, but Jesus, I mean, if they don't need him in the rotation, then he could easily become another option to be closer. I think it's just so much fun. If you've seen that video where they flipped him around, he's basically a right-handed copy of Chris Sale. What is that going to lead to? You know, I do think that Chris Sale is our number one starter by far. Evaldi's done a pretty good job of holding the fort down, but I mean, he's a number two. It's just that simple for me. I don't know what they're going to do with the odd man out. I mean, my choice would send Richards somewhere, but they kind of paid a lot for him. So you're kind of stuck holding the bag there. That did not like those interviews where he's saying, I'm trying to figure out my curveball on the mound during a game. You need to figure that shit out in the bullpen, in my opinion. So I don't know who they're gonna bump out or bump down or what they're gonna do with this. I don't see them. I mean, if you call him up to major leagues, he's got to be ready to go, and he's going to want to be ready to go. That's not the place where you coach his innings and go easy on how many pitches he's throwing. If he's throwing full gas. It's just what it's going to be. It may not be 100, it may be 95, 96, but it's going to be what it's going to be. And I expect him to attack the zone. I bet people are not going to like it. He's got a nasty slider, and he's still got that.
I agree with you on Richards that you don't want him trying to figure it out while he's on the mound. But at the same time, I found that to be refreshingly honest for a pitcher. Obviously with some of the changes that have happened and what you can and cannot use with regard to putting a substance on a baseball. And I don't know that he was using spider tack. It's clear he was using something. I think he admitted to sunscreen and rosin and maybe pine tar. But at the same time, I found it refreshingly honest to hear a major league player talk about how difficult it was adjusting pretty much in season to a rule.
Yeah.
And granted, Major League Baseball had said, guys, this is coming. And I guess the players didn't take it seriously enough. It's almost like a parent saying, if you keep doing that, we're going to do X, Y, or Z. And well, Major League Baseball did X, Y, and Z. So again, refreshing to hear a major league player talk about the struggles that he's going through and not have it be so whitewashed or filtered down, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice that he's honest, but oh my God, that's not the $10 million man I want to be listening to. I want a little bit more confidence there. You know what I'm saying?
So one of the questions I wanted to ask the three of you, as the team was being put together, a lot of focus was on Ahaan Bloom. And some of the acquisitions that he made were, really, that guy? And you're looking at really that guy after that guy after that guy performing. So Ahaan, I'll start with you. The success, is it more the guys Bloom gave to Cora, or is the success due to Alex Cora? What do you think?
Opening statement, the cliche answer, both. But the real answer, without copping out of your question, I'm going to go Ahaan Bloom because part of Ahaan Bloom's job was to hire Alex Cora back. He showed that he gave everybody a fair shot. Sam Fold was in the mix for manager. He worked with him in the past. There's nobody that can say, they always wanted Cora back, so they were always going to go back to him. The whole crowd of like, oh, he cheated once, so, he shouldn't be back. You can get me started on that with AJ Hinch doing a great job with the Tigers so far. You can see they haven't lost since the All-Star break. That's another can of worms. But Ahaan Bloom for hiring Alex Cora back, because that ended up being the right move. He's going to stay in Boston for a while. He's the best guy for the job. He knows the organization, and everybody in the organization loves him.
Eric, your thoughts?
I was a little bit questioning too, exactly like you, about what are we doing with people like Francie and Gonzalez and Kiki, and Kiki was pretty good in the Dodgers, but nothing like he's here. This is just the best leadoff hitter, and I've seen it quite a while for the Red Sox, and it's all worked out really well, and I think Bloom has probably got the high end of the stick here, and the daily running and deciding who's going to be where and what in the field, for as much as Cora is the one in charge of exactly that. I would like to hope he is, but I think he's putting the right pieces in the right spot so far, and it's all working out. It really
and
is.
Jared, go to you for your opinion on this one.
Well, I think both have played a part, obviously. I would give the slight edge to Cora as for this team's immediate rebound from last year. You could see last year right from the get-go that they didn't really have motivation. They weren't really competing late in games. But that's been the exact opposite this year. And it almost feels like 2018, where even if they're down 4 runs in the 7th inning, you don't feel like they're out of the game because they're still competing hard. And I give that credit to Alex Cora.
Final question for you before we call it a day here. Do the Red Sox have enough? I think they're going to make the playoffs. Do they hold on and keep the number one spot in the division? Jared?
I think that they will, but it's going to be a very close race down the stretch. I think Tampa's going to stay right with them, and Toronto's even going to make a push as well. I think they could be buyers at the deadline. So it's not going to be an easy race, but I think with Chris Sale coming back, Jarren Duran being up now, I think that the Red Sox have enough to maintain a narrow lead.
Eric?
I think if everybody stays healthy and we can continue to use what we have, like we have, I think we'll win it. I can't imagine us getting through a season without some stuff start falling apart somewhere in here. And there's really been no major slumps. There's been no, you know what I mean? Nothing's happened what normally happens to a baseball team yet. So there's got to be a stretch somewhere in here where something like that's going to happen. And that's going to be the most interesting part to watch. I don't think it's really going to matter. We're so far out in front. I don't know if you've been watching my Twitter account at all, but I keep posting how nice the view is from the top. And I can't believe I started it as a joke, but it's just going and going and going. We're still top 5 in MLB. It's crazy. We're within a game and a half or something in top place. It's crazy.
Ahaan, your thoughts?
So we're at the moment we speak right now, we're half a game ahead of the Rays, 7 games ahead of the Blue Jays. There's another team in 4th place that I'm not worried about. I'm going to say we're going to find out very soon whether we're holding the lead or not. And I'm going to say the answer is yes, we're going to hold the lead, win the division. Nick Pivetta doing very well, a couple of bad innings, couple of bad outings. It shouldn't distract you from the fact that he's a big game pitcher. He beat DeGrom. He seems to always step up when the game is close and you need him to gut out innings. And he always does that, almost threw a no-hitter in Tampa Bay. He's been really good, but there have been signs that he still has those walk issues. I wouldn't be surprised if he regresses just this season a little bit. When Chris Sale comes back, obviously, if Nick Pivetta regresses a little, I won't be too worried if Chris Sale is pitching like a top 5 pitcher in baseball again. So Eric is our resident pitching master. He's going to love it when Chris Sale, pumping strikes, as he said, every single pitch in the first inning. So we're going to find out very soon if that pitching is going to be able to hold on. I think Evaldi's going to keep doing what he's doing. And I think the Rays losing Tyler Glasnow, that's going to be the difference maker. Pitching. We're going to win the division.
I think it's going to be
3:30 in the afternoon here on the East Coast of the United States. Eric, what time is it where you are in the Netherlands?
We're going on to 9:30 in the evening.
So this is getting late for you. Jared, Ahaan, Eric, thank you so much for joining me on this Red Sox Life first Zoom roundtable. And for people who want to follow us, of course, it's at redsoxlife.com.